meaty ones. It makes that little
actually
heart
take the
connect.
assessment and get a feel for what your kids are getting themselves into.
Oh my gosh, that's I'm so glad you got another one.
So, on this side is your login. If you use the Puffin Academies for today, it will work. I tried it out while we were on break, so make sure that it worked. Your username, you're going to use the same website we were on before. Your username is right here. It's a student with a 4-digit number at training, either K, 4, or 7, depending on your grade level. I tried to differentiate that for you. And then your password is the word student. You can just log in through Missouri as your state. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to take a look at and take part of. I won't make you take the whole thing because we don't have that kind of time. If you don't have a device with you, you can kind of share off of person next to you. But go ahead, I'm going to give you about 5-10 minutes to explore, take a look, get some right, get some wrong, see how it's adapting and adjusting for you guys. And we will go from there, okay? What I want you to be looking at as you're taking it are, what are some things that you need to plan for and prepare for as you are thinking about how my students are going to take this assessment? Because there's a lot that kind of goes into it. We're going to debrief and talk about some things you notice when we're done. If you have questions, let me know and I'll come by and kind of help you out.
So how are we logging in?
Okay, here. Same thing. Yeah.
2040.
Mine here said recognize.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, that side right there.
Training what? Oh, number 4.
And the password just
Yeah, just ignore that right now. It should be fine. If you want to do Puffin. Yeah, because I went through Puffin and it worked just fine. So.
and then just log out.
Back in through Puffin, maybe.
Ditto.
What?
What? You gotta go through Puffin.
Your username and the password. Yep.
You guys going Puffin? Maybe I typed it wrong. Oh, my students capitalized.
Yeah, click and hold until it pops up. Got the magnifier.
This was a student. Student, right?
Whatever they told me.
Oh, this
I don't know.
seriously. You know, I'm saying it's really hard for me with my eyes to see kids.
Where's Dan?
Dan.
Us old people, you gotta turn the front lights up a little bit. Everything knows that last few years.
I think my guys speak of English.
Some questions may feel too easy, but a lot of the questions will feel just right. If you have lots of questions might feel so basic.
We got a browser issue back here again, even though we went through Puffin.
Notice that there's a My Progress button at the bottom of your screen.
Get your headphones on. With
To see your progress.
your earbuds.
This is a diagnostic and then come back later.
Which one is it working for you? This one?
That's what, yeah, that's what you wanted us to do.
And you're in Puffin, you said?
Yeah.
User sign up. It's multicultural.
answer questions.
Right, because the first question on here is when we read the word mom. And
Well, yeah, I was at in like 12 and 68. So I'm just guessing, so it'll go down
What did I do wrong?
It's hard to say. It could have been. It always started with a capital on your iPad. It could have been. That could have been part of the. I have no idea. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I've magic touch. But you're in.
Thanks.
No worries. Lower elementary. Second or third grade, somewhere in there. Yeah, it wasn't kindergarten. Yeah, no, but it will adapt down if you continue to get one wrong. Yeah. That's
Like a
it
little
is
test
grade level
on
appropriate.
concentration, and then something's gonna pop up.
I set
like
these up like 3
brain
weeks ago, so I don't remember, but I know it's probably like second or third.
I see the whole idea of
Yep,
it,
come right to
but
you.
then some of those kids get them moved by
yeah.
the weekend here, so we're going to
I think I've got a little too high.
it doesn't like chip. We're trying to.
I can sit on it and now I'm for 5 months, but I came to, oh, now it's,
okay, mom keeps saying that I need to.
how'd you get math? I chose math.
I think it's
Oh, no.
They should have reading and math, both. I should have both assigned to you, so you can choose which one.
You want me to get it wrong? I want you to get this one right, and then we'll get some wrong, because I want
They should all be unique, so you should have separate ones. I don't know why it's logging
But I don't think it's going to tell you. No, I don't mean that, but at the end, when it gives you, it's going to give you your report, and it will say what you need to work on.
It will tell
I mean,
you.
No, but I'm going
Oh, look, I got you a little dog thing.
This is little, this is the middle.
You got so little.
I didn't pretty small there. I changed it.
Which one do you
Turn rotate.
But I mean,
You should have,
It is, like, that kind of hard. Maybe started getting lots of things right.
do you think that's how it goes? I think it progressively gets worse.
You guys, about 3 or 4 more minutes, and then we'll come back together.
It's still not that big, is
If you
it?
got into one of the brain breaks, one of the doggy games, you can stop if you want.
Pick around.
Yeah, I don't know which one. I didn't even read it, so.
Are you into puffin? Could be the volume. It doesn't make any sense.
Is it an actual game? Or is it just a little video?
I think this is it. Separate to states.
Really fast.
I don't know.
yeah, what was the one on the old test?
I don't know when you know that word.
Sure.
Shallow water, no, what is it? What was that old saying?
Yeah.
It's the beginning that everybody sees. You can't skip over it. You can't start that.
You'll be prepared to answer the questions.
Oh, first,
Because the guy don't know either way.
I think this is hard.
I think it's hard for adults.
How do you switch? How do you switch out of this? Like, you got to finish the test to start.
If you hit, okay, so once you've started the test, I think it makes you complete it before you can go to the next one. So you would have to complete that whole section. It depends on how quickly you go through the questions or how quickly the tabs, because it could take between 30 and 45 minutes. It just depends. Now, see, I don't know how the dog came out on an iPad. I've only done it on a laptop or a computer. But normally they press the space bar to shoot and they press the back and forth arrow. That could be.
so badly.
Right.
I don't know where they're at.
I thought you wanted me to do
No, I do. I just, that's the
But
thought
my
I just
understanding
had.
is taking this in a lab setting, Mary has confirmed that, so I don't know if she has a
Okay,
schedule
we're
set
back
up or how
to
she's
the
going to work that out. I'm not sure. But that won't necessarily be the issue, just for the diagnostic. Everything else will be done. But that was my understanding. So.
Okay, so am I understanding this right? There's a beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year diagnostic, but there's progress monitoring in between.
Right, growth monitoring.
And that would be done on this?
It could be, and it's
Well, we need
that's
a
only about a
keyboard.
15-20 minute assessment. It's not as
Okay,
long.
so
It's only
that's
about 20
short.
questions. Yeah, so that's definitely
Well, that's not
doable.
gonna make
There's
it
no
very
brain
easy
break or
to
anything
play.
built in. It's just a temperature check of are they making progress or not, and it's all based on the first diagnostic. We'll talk about that when we get to that point. But yeah, that should be something that they can do in a center during math block or whatever. They can do it as a center activity that day or something. Yeah, because it will override anything they've done. Now, any student who doesn't have instruction will have to log in to do the growth monitoring. If you're only monitoring the students on instruction, then do it that way. You have more flexibility with that piece,
This
basically.
keyboard's not
Yeah.
working.
See, we gotta have the lab.
Yeah, yeah, do
They're
it
not
on
gonna
that.
have keyboards,
They're not gonna have keyboards, huh?
so they can't do the brain.
Alrighty, why don't we go ahead and get back together. Some of y'all may have gotten to a brain break, some of you may not have. But I want to make sure that we have time to get to everything. So as you are going through the process, what are some things you noticed or some things that you might want to think about keeping in mind as your students, as you're preparing your students to take this assessment? What are some things that you guys want to, yes?
I just have a question.
Yes.
So, like, if I said, okay, we're going to take a break, and my kids were just, like, in the middle of this, if I turn off the iPad, is it just going to come right back to
So
this,
you would
or-
want to, there should be like a little X or a circle with an X or something on your screen, or a logout option.
Okay.
If they just click on that, it'll log them out, and then when they log back in, it'll say resume test. They just click on it and they keep going.
So you want them to exit out of it?
I would, just so that you didn't have any issue with a timeout issue or reset X. Always have them log out, especially if it's going to be longer than a 2 or 3 minute thing. If you have a fire drill or something, obviously you don't have time for all that. But
Right.
yeah, I would definitely have them log out and then log back in when there's more time. Anything else you noticed or anything that you think I definitely want to make sure that they understand this piece, or I want to have this ready to go as they get started?
Headphones.
Definitely headphones, absolutely. There is a lot of audio that is built in, whether it's a math or a reading assessment piece, okay? So some things to think about are the fact that there's that video that plays. If you got 20 of those going at one time, that's going to drive you up a wall, and it's very distracting. So definitely headphones. Couple things about the audio option. In math, you do have the speaker option available in grades K through 5 for both the question and the answer types. After 5th grade, it does go away. In reading, it's available in the foundational skills of phonics and phonological awareness up through grade 2, and then it goes away. Okay, and it may be sporadic within the foundational skills, but definitely for the comprehension and vocabulary pieces, it will not be available. Okay, so they do have the option of hearing the question if the speaker option is available, but if it's not, then they have to go on their own. Okay.
In this section of the diagnostic, you will read some
No, you're fine. Anything else that you noticed, or anything that kind of stood out to you about the assessment as you were going through it?
Well, it's not as primary, but I did notice on the brain break without a keyboard, it doesn't work.
With the iPads, it won't. If you are taking it on a laptop or a desktop, you just use the regular keyboard. My understanding was that, and I don't know, it may not be, I don't know if you have a schedule yet or not, but my understanding is the diagnostic only will be taken in a lab type setting. I don't know how that's going to be set up or how it'll work, but during the break, Mary confirmed that. I guess you guys will get a schedule of some sort. But for the diagnostic, it will be done in the lab setting, so that shouldn't be an issue. The login, all that stuff, you won't have to worry about the iPads. Okay. Alrighty. So, just some things as you're thinking about preparing your students. Thinking about this may be the first time they've taken an online adaptive assessment like this. So just preparing them, getting them set up, getting them thinking about being as successful as possible, not being a happy clicker. You know, especially in the lower grades, they don't know what they don't know. So their first reaction is, I'm going to click until I get to the stuff I do know. Not really a great way to go about it, but I do understand why they do it. You know, having little ones at home myself, that's just kind of their normal reaction. So helping them to understand, do your best. Just give you your best guess if you're not 100% sure. Listen to the question. Re-listen to the question if you don't know. Click on that speaker icon. Some things that you'll want to point out to them. On page 6 of your training guide, it does go over some additional things to keep in mind. You might want to mark that page or highlight some sections in there about administering the diagnostic and preparing the students for the diagnostic, because it does talk about those pieces in there on page 6. I don't currently have access to your testing window. I don't know if they've been created yet for you guys, but that is something that you'll want to think about. Any administrators that might be given to you, so you may want to share that with your teachers and have them, kind of put those on their calendar. Just as, as a quick reminder, you will have 3 diagnostic windows, and that's per subject. So technically it's 6 windows if you want to look at it like that. But both of these assessments need to be completed within that first window. So that's something to think about, is they're really taking 2 assessments within that 4-week or 6-week period. So, thinking about how we're going to get those kiddos through and what that schedule is going to look like in your buildings will be different as well. Okay? So just some things to kind of think about and go through. I did want to show you this piece. So once you've identified the windows, here's some average total times. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I just wanted to kind of have that visual up for you all as well. Like we said, K and 1 about 30 to 40-ish minutes, grades 2 plus about 45 to 60 minutes. And we do recommend having a break in between those so they're not just sitting there taking it the whole time. Okay? So just some things to think about and talk through at your building or district level whenever you guys have those meetings later on. Okay. So after the diagnostics, some things that you want to think about. Check for completion. I showed you on the home page where you can do, which students have completed the diagnostic. That will let you know if they're done or if they haven't even started. If you've gone through 2 testing periods for math and you notice that it says next to Chris's name not started, we need to have a heart-to-heart about that one because you were there. So why have you not done anything yet? Those kind of things. You'll want to make sure, and it'll be broken out for both reading and math, so you'll see their name twice if they haven't done either one of the assessments. Check for rushing. Okay. This is one thing on your class report, and I can show you this when I log back in, but on your class report, there is a column in between the student's name and their scale score. It's a little thin column that runs in between. You have 2 options for what we call a rush report or a rush alert. Okay? Looks like a little stop sign with a hand in it. If it is a yellow stop sign with a hand, it means it took the student less than 15 to 18 seconds to respond to each question. They may have been a happy clicker, may not have taken their time. You might want to think about reassessing or having a conversation with that kiddo. If it is a red rush hand, same symbol, but it's red, it means it took less than 10 to 12 seconds to respond to each question. They probably rushed, and you may want to think about having them reassess. Now, I say that with kind of an air of caution. Keep in mind how long it takes to give that assessment. I am not advocating for every student that gets a rush hand to retake. Take it with a case-by-case basis. If you know that Chris got a red rush hand and he's really not 5 grade levels below where he says he is, maybe he needs to take his time. On the flip side of that, if he's only maybe a grade level or 2 below and he rushed, maybe that's really where he's at. So take it with a case-by-case basis. I do not advocate for reassessing every student with a rush hand, because I've made this statement before, and then I'll come back for the data and they're like, well, 50% of our kids rushed, so we made them all retake. Why? I mean, that's a lot of instructional time that you've now reused on kiddos that may or may not have needed it. So just from that perspective, you will get that alert. You know, have that conversation during, you know, grade level meetings, PLCs, whatever it might be, and say, what do you think? Does that student need to retake it or not? And what does that look like, and those kind of things. But reviewing those 3 key reports, those kind of things. Any questions so far? I thought I saw a couple hands on. Yep.
Check for rushing, what do we go to?
So it'll be in the class report. I'll show you, but in the class report, in between the student's name and their overall scale score, there's a little column in between the two where you'll see the red rush in, and I'll show it to you when I log back in here in just a moment. But
We can
this
see
also
that
is
during
described
the-
on page 8 of your training guide as well. Question?
We can see that during the diagnostic, right?
Not
Reading in
during the
here.
diagnostic, but once they've completed it. So, when we're talking about best practices and we're talking about assessing for success, making sure that our students are doing the best that they can, there are some key tasks on pages 5 through 8 of the training guide that you might want to think about and consider as you're going through. What are some things you might need help with as you're looking at those pages? What are some things that you might need to gather some additional resources for? In the math, the only thing that they will need is paper and pencil. Everything else is provided for them within the assessment. This assessment is very much map-like with regard to the online assessment piece. We give them, if they need a ruler, it'll be provided in the assessment. If they need counting blocks, that'll be provided for them. If they need a calculator, that's provided for them. The only thing they need for math is paper and pencil. Okay, but look at those pages. I'll give you a few minutes to look at pages 5 through 8. What are some things, or what questions do you still have going forward with that you think you need to be able to provide your students with or prepare for to give that diagnostic, and then we'll come back together here in just a minute.
No. It's too dark in here. This would be really good, like first 3 days you have math. So the first day you just take schedule the lab and get it down there before you start everything. So you can see their scrap paper. Them put their name in the scrap paper.